Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss about the last part of this chapter, The Visitor. So let's begin. Papa stood another idea. He walked to the hall and called out, "Everything good down there?" The answer ascended the steps on top of Max Vandenberg. "Another minute, perhaps." "Would you like some coffee or some tea?" "No, thank you." When Papa returned, he ordered Liesl to fetch a book and for Rosa to start cooking. He decided the last thing they should do was sit around looking worried. "Well, come on," he said loudly. "Move it, Liesl. I don't care if your knee hurts. You have to finish that book like you said." Liesl tried not to break. "Yes, Papa." "What are you waiting for?" It took great effort to wink at her, she could tell. In the corridor, she nearly collided with the partyman. "In trouble with your papa, huh?" "Never mind, I am the same with my own children." They walked their separate ways, and when Liesl made it to her room, she closed the door and fell to her knees, despite the added pain. She listened first to the judgment that the basement was too shallow, then the goodbyes, one of which was sent down the corridor. "Goodbye, maniacal football player." She remembered herself. "Oof, Wiedersehen, goodbye." According to Papa, Rosa melted next to the stove the moment the partyman was gone. They collected Liesl and made their way to the basement, removing the well-placed sheets and paint cans that were hiding Max Vandenberg. Max sat beneath the steps, soaked in sweat and holding his rusty scissor like a knife. "I wouldn't have used them," he quietly said. "I am." He held the rusty arms flat against his forehead. "I'm so sorry I put you through that." Rosa took the scissor. "You are alive," she said. "We are all." An extract from the book Thief by Markus Zusak. So, now let's discuss, let's analyze this part. Let's analyze this part. So, who among the three seems to control his fears? So, who among the three seems to control the fear? Let's see. Of course, it's the Papa. So, how does the writer help us to relate the partyman through his role in scary? Though his role is scary. So, when Liesl dashed into him while getting her book, he tells her not to fear her father, for he too is as strict with his children. So that is what he says. What is the final touch that shows the partyman as a gentleman? After bidding goodbye to the parents, he remembered to wish Liesl too. When he said, "Goodbye, maniacal football player," So Liesel and her mother, how they handled the final moment. The final moment was in suspense. Somehow they handled them. Liesel went to her room and fell to her knees. Her mother was in the kitchen beside the stove. Then we find at the last that Max was holding his rusty scissors like a knife. So, what were his feelings about the situation at that moment of time? How does Rosa speak? So, at that time, actually, he was sad that he had put the Habermans through so much tension. That was what Vandenberg was thinking. And how Rosa speak to all of them at that time? They were relieved that all of them were safe. So, at the end, when it says Rosa took the scissors and said, "You are alive," she said, "We are all." From here, it is clear that they were all relieved that the tension is gone. Tension is no longer over there. So, these excerpts from the war story, based on the plight of the Jews during the Second World War, brings out the fear in which Jews lived during those times. It makes us sympathetic towards the suffering community and the horrors they endured. It also makes us admire the courage of some Germans who risked their own life to help the Jews. It also makes us realize how wrong we are to discriminate against people based on class, caste, ethnicity, race, how important it is for us to respect them as we respect ourselves. This extract introduces and maintains suspense as a key ingredient in the war-based narrative, heightening it to a climax towards the end. Suspense is introduced through the contrast between the two worlds, the political and the personal. The political ethnic hatred from the historical context of the Second World War is contrasted with compassion at a personal level. So suspense is maintained through the contrast between what the world sees and what is actually happening in the Habermans' lives. Liesel is seen as enjoying a game of football on the street with her friends, while she is really worried about a Jew hiding in her place. Liesel and Klaus seem to crash into each other by accident during the game, but Liesel deliberately does this so that she can go home to inform her parents about the impending danger without arousing curiosity. The suspense reaches a climax when the Habermans seem to go about their usual routine calmly as the partyman goes down to check their basement. Liesel's papa tries to be as normal as possible. Papa even shouts at Liesel to get on with her lessons, pretending to carry on with their usual routine. So, that is where we end this story. Thank you very much. Thank you all.